Anybody have the list?
A list.
I need a list.
A list.
List.
A list. A list.
I need a list. Somebody give me a list, please.
You need the list.
The list. The list.
God.
I mean, yeah, I know.
No, okay.
How tall are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Now, I gave you guys this list. I'm just going to go right through it. Okay. I'm going to start with the membranes. Now, for the function of the membranes, you guys, I just want you to, here's the answer I'm expecting to see. For the function of membranes, I'm expecting to see to produce fluids, to reduce friction. Okay, now, some of the membranes that we're going to look at actually have a little bit different of a function, but in order to make it easier for you guys, that's the only one I want you to know. Okay, so parietal peritoneum, right here. Okay, that is what makes the body wall nice and shiny. Visceral peritoneum is the outermost layer of all of the digestive organs. Quiet, please. Quiet, please. The outermost layer is also called the serosa, but it's called the visceral peritoneum. Okay. The greater omentum, if you remember when we opened up the cat, the greater omentum was sitting right here. We've removed it. Okay, it's called the greater omentum, remember, not because it's big, but because why? It's attached to the greater curvature of the stomach. Okay, and so, but that membrane is now missing, and that's how I would ask it. I would probably put a pin right here, and I said, this organ was covered by a membrane that we have removed. What was the name of it? Okay, or I might put it right here. I might put the pin right here, say there was a membrane attached right here that we've removed. What was the name of that membrane? Okay, or something like that. All right. The falciform ligament, and I want you guys to come to your cats and do this. Okay, pull down on the liver. That's what's left of the falciform ligament right here. Okay, that's what's left of it. Okay. And the lesser omentum is not called the lesser omentum because it's small. Okay, it's connected to the lesser curvature, and that's this membrane right here. Okay, that's the lesser omentum. All right, suspensory ligament, you guys, is that membrane that was sitting right here. Here's what's left of it on this cat. Okay, you remember when we opened the body wall and I said there's a membrane right here? You guys need to make note of the fact that it's here because we're going to get rid of it. Okay, that is the suspensory ligament right there. That's what's left of it. The dorsal mesentery was all, this is what's left of the dorsal mesentery here. That's all of this stuff that was covering the dorsal body wall. Okay, all the fat and everything was in the dorsal mesentery. And then the true mesentery is all this. This is true mesentery. Okay? All right, questions about the membranes? All right, let's move on to the organs. All right, what's this, obviously?
Liver.
Liver. And then within the liver?
Gallbladder.
Oh, that's right here on this cat. Gallbladder right here. Okay, I probably would not use this cat for the gallbladder because it's kind of hidden way down in here. Okay, now, what's this right here? Stomach. We've all got the stomach, but do you know the parts of the stomach? Where the esophagus comes in, what's that called?
Cardiac.
That's called the cardia or cardiac region. And then the dome-shaped part? The fundus or fundic region. Okay, this is the body of the stomach. Now remember, inside the stomach are those little folds of tissue that help to mix the foods, like the fins on the inside of a drum on the dryer. Okay, what were those called?
Microvilli.
Rugae. Rugae, that's the folds on the inside of the stomach that help for mixing. Okay, and then as the stomach starts to narrow and turn into a tube again, that's called the pylorus or pyloric region. And if you put your hand right here, put your thumb and forefinger right here and kind of pinch right there, okay, you can feel the pyloric sphincter muscle. Okay, then comes the small intestine. Okay, and here's the beginning of the small intestine. This is called the duodenum. All right, now you guys, now here's a point of emphasis with you guys, okay? I am not going to put a pin right here where you're going to have to wonder, is he looking for the second part or the first part? If I want the first part, I'm going to put the pin way up here, okay, for the duodenum, all right? A pin really anywhere else is going to be jejunum, which is the second part of the small intestine. Okay, it actually may not necessarily be in the jejunum, but I don't want to trick you. I don't want you to be out here measuring, because if I want the ileum is the second half. I'm sorry, is about the half of the small intestine. This T intersection right here, you guys, this is the ileum right here, but the ileum is actually about half of the small intestine. Okay, so I'm not going to put a pin in here and have you measure and say, okay, is that jejunum or is that ileum? I want you just to assume that I want jejunum there. If I put a pin right here at the end, where it's obvious that this is the large intestine, I'm going to put a pin right here for the ileum. Okay, and if you take this junction right here and squeeze it in between your thumb and forefingers, you can feel the ileocecal sphincter as well. Okay, now the beginning of the large intestine is just kind of this little nub right here. Kind of looks like Mr. Jennings' finger. Okay?
That's so messed up.
All right, that is called the cecum. Okay, now the cecum is very, very long and curled up, almost looks like an extension of the small intestine on animals that are herbivores, because it serves as a fermentation chamber for grass and leaves and stuff like that that's hard to digest. Okay, so you can tell by a small cecum that this animal is carnivore. Okay, because there's no room to digest meat, leaves and grass and stuff in here. Guess what the size of a cecum is on a human being?
Huge.
Fist.
Just like this.
Oh.
Okay, we have nothing for a cecum, and you can tell Mr. Betts that a large cecum is for herbivores, and a tiny little cecum like we have, carnivores. Okay?
So even if you
he's
are
wrong.
herbivore, you still have a small one?
What kind of a question is that? Obviously.
No, humans aren't meant to be herbivores. That's another it's another example of humans not meant to be herbivores.
Isn't that why we have like tricuspids?
Okay, and here's our large intestine right here. You guys, I'm not going to put a little pin right here. Say, what is this? Because it kind of blends into the small intestine. If I want the large intestine, I'm going to put the pin down here. I'm not going to try and trick you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Pancreas. Okay. We lift up on the stomach here, the transverse lobe, and you got to be specific, you guys. Transverse lobe of the pancreas is right here. Kind of looks like ground. Not really ground beef, it's not dark enough, and maybe ground turkey, maybe ground chicken, maybe a little tuna maybe. Okay, that's the transverse lobe of the pancreas right here. Now there's another lobe of the pancreas right here next to the duodenum, so we call it the duodenal lobe. Okay, duodenal lobe of the pancreas. All right. Shh. This is called the spleen right here, you guys, and this is a tough one for function. Okay, you guys have a textbook at home, and you can get the basic functions of these organs, but for the spleen, that's a little harder to find. For the spleen, it's to mature blood cells. Okay, that's what the spleen does. Blood cells are made in the bone marrow, but they're not mature. They can't do what they're supposed to do until they've gone through the spleen. Okay. Urinary bladder is down here. This is the urinary bladder here. Okay. And then the kidneys, one on this side and one on this side. Okay. And the ureters connecting the kidneys with the bladder here. And there's a ureter here. Now I will not use on the test as an example of ureters a cat who has that genetic anomaly where the ureters wrap around the vena cava. I'm not going to use that. Okay. Let's see what's next. Urethra. If you pull up on the urinary bladder, tease through this fat a little bit if you haven't done that already, and you'll notice there's a place right here where the urinary bladder has narrowed down into a tube. Okay, and this tube right here is called the urethra. Okay, urethra. The adrenal glands, you guys, I'm taking off of the test, and the reason why is because they're a little harder to get to. Okay, the adrenal glands on a human being are right here on top of the kidneys. On the cat, they're a little bit harder to find. Here's one right here on this side. Okay, but I'm not going to test you on them. Okay, adrenal gland here, and usually it's a lot tougher to find on this side because it's way up here.
Oh, that's disgusting. Mine's clean.
Okay, here it is. Here's the adrenal gland right here. Okay, so I'm not going to put that on the test for you guys, so be nice for you to know what it is, but you don't have to know it for the test, okay? Uterine horns. One uterine horn here with an ovary right at the end of it. There's that little bean thing right there. That's an ovary. So we've got a uterine horn, ovary, uterine horn, ovary. Okay, and where the two uterine horns come together, vagina. Okay, now all the male parts we'll save till we have a male cat, because this cat obviously does not have both. Okay, any questions about the organs? Okay, muscles. You remember that I gave you a handout on the muscles, you guys. You need to know origins, insertions, and actions. You need to memorize that handout, okay? Okay, so for muscles, rectus abdominis right here. Rectus abdominis. On the inside in the same area is the transversus abdominis, okay? Oh, sorry. External obliques right here on the outside, internal obliques here on the inside. Okay. Diaphragm, and I want you guys to do this to your cats too. Pull down on the liver, this dome-shaped muscle right here, all up in here. Okay, that is the diaphragm. Okay, that's all diaphragm right there. Linea alba, remember, is not really a muscle, but it's the white line that we cut between the rectus abdominis muscles. And then the xipha humoralis, this nice V-shaped muscle right here that we cut. The reason why it's on this test is because we cut it in order to open up the abdominal pelvic cavity. Okay, xipha humoralis. Remember that you have to know origins, insertions, and actions, because I will ask you. Okay? Questions about the muscles? All right, blood vessels. Abdominal or descending aorta is right here. That's this blood vessel right here. And the blue one is the vena cava, inferior vena cava. Okay. And then we've got the renal artery. Okay, renal artery is right there. That's the pink going to the kidney. And then the blue coming from the kidney is the renal vein. Now, the reason why I word it like that is because you really are responsible for knowing what direction blood is going in these blood vessels. Okay, blood is going to the kidney from the aorta in the renal artery, and from the kidney to the vena cava in the renal vein. Okay. Craniomesenteric artery, I'm taking off the test also because it's a little bit hard to find. Yeah. It's in this mass of tissue right here, but it's a little bit hard to find. Okay, so I'm taking it off the test, so don't worry about the craniomesenteric artery. Ovarian artery and ovarian vein, I'm taking that off the test too, because it disintegrates when we're taking off the dorsal mesentery. All right. Iliac artery and iliac vein is down here, where the aorta branches to go down into the leg. Okay, right there is the iliac artery, and right here is the iliac vein. Okay, so you guys need to pick away at this some more without destroying this, and you'll be able to see those two blood vessels. Okay. Know where blood is going and where it's coming from in all the blood vessels as well. Okay? All right, you guys. You got a few minutes left. Review with your cats.
I don't care.